Hi, I'm Kay Choi. Welcome back to my channel. I've had my YouTube channel for a while, but the first time I started regularly uploading was 3 years ago when I started my master's degree in London. I'm moving to London today. And I often get asked both online and in person why I decided to do my master's degree in London. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. There are just 3 main reasons why I decided to go abroad for my degree. So if you are also considering doing a master's abroad or specifically in the UK or London, then hopefully this will be a little bit helpful for you to help make your decision. The first reason was time. So master's degrees in the US are often 2 years full-time. My particular degree, which was a Master of Science in Management, was a 12-month program. So there were 3 terms: fall, spring, and summer. So it was a full 12 months from September 2016 to September 2017. There are some exceptions, of course. So some master's degrees in the UK are 2 years instead of 1 year. And if I were to do a master's in management in the US, those programs here are actually also about 1 year long. But in general, across the board, master's degrees are much shorter in the UK, about half the time. And for me, I was either looking at a master's in management in the UK or an MBA in the US, and in that case, most MBAs are going to be 2 years long. Reason number 2 is cost. The tuition for a postgraduate taught degree, so your general master's degree in the UK, is going to be probably about £15,000 to £25,000 for international students. That converts to about $18,000 to $30,000. Tuition for a master's degree in the US, on the other hand, is probably about $20,000 to $50,000 or even $60,000 per year. So again, going back to the point about time, master's degrees in the US are 2 years, so you gotta pay double the tuition. Again, I was specifically choosing between a master's in management in the UK and an MBA in the US, and I have a video all about the differences between the two, so I will link that up here in the cards and in the description box. In terms of cost of living, London is definitely not a cheap place to live, but for me, it came down to the amount of time I was going to be in London and then the overall tuition I was paying, which was going to be cheaper than a program I would have done in the US. If you want to know a bit more about how much it costs to live in London and pay tuition and rent and things like that as a grad student, I have a video all about how I saved up for my year in London, so I will link that in the description box as well. And finally, the third reason is really that I wanted to live in London. Back when I was a junior in college in spring 2012, I studied abroad at the University of Bristol for a semester. And anyone who knows me knows that I talk way too much about the time I studied abroad, but it's because it really did change my life for the better. It opened me up to new cultures, not only a new culture in terms of the British culture and being immersed in that, but also meeting lots of people from around the world and even people from California who I never would have met if it weren't for that program. That year was the first time I ever traveled to Europe. I got to see so many different amazing cities across Europe during that time, and it helped me realize that the world is really big but also really small, and you can have so much in common with someone who comes from a completely different background. So after I finished that semester abroad, I knew that I wanted to live abroad again in some capacity, and one of the easiest ways to do that is as a student. The visa process and everything is definitely time consuming, but in terms of approvals and the straightforward nature of it, getting a student visa is, in my opinion, much easier than trying to get a working visa or something like that. Something I wanted to add but forgot to while I was filming this video is that the UK just reinstated their 2-year work visa offered to international students with a degree from a British university. This used to be available several years ago, but they stopped it in 2012, so it wasn't an option for me. When I was in London, the only way an international student could stay and work there was to apply for and get approved for a Tier 2 work visa. Now it seems like international students will be guaranteed a 2-year work visa should they want to stay in the UK and work, so if that's something you want to do, then there's another reason to get your master's in the UK. I think that if anyone has the opportunity to live abroad, whether it is as a study abroad student in college, whether it's going for grad school to get your degree or for a job, or even if you're just traveling, I think it's just such a great experience. I really encourage anyone watching this to try and do that if you have the means and the passion to. In terms of how applicable my overseas degree is here in the US, there definitely is a little little bit of a barrier, especially because a master's in management program is not as popular or well known in the US because it was started in Europe. But for me, it was really about that life experience of living abroad, and that experience and the things I learned and the connections I made are priceless. So those were the reasons I decided to get my master's degree abroad and in London. And I noticed in my program that there were so many international students, so I would love to hear if you also are an international student who is getting their degree outside of your home country. I would love to know the reasons for that in the comments below. Also, let me know if you'd like to see a video more on how I went through the process of going abroad for my degree, from my visa and my student application and things like that, because I think that could be a good companion or follow-up to this video. That's it for now. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!